Hello everybody, my name is Cybermanalf and this is my review of Doctor Who Series 12 Episode 8, The Haunting of Villa Diodati. So, overall, this episode was fantastic, to quote the Ninth Doctor. There was barely anything wrong with this episode at all, which means all the problems with this episode are essentially just nitpicks. So, yeah, the basic story was they go back in time to 1816, to the night where Frankenstein was being born, but Percy Shelley isn't there and something is wrong. They're trying to find out what had happened to Percy Shelley. Anyway, a Cyberman shows up, a lone Cyberman. The companions get all worried about Jack's warning. And I have to say, that is the thing I love the most about this episode. Was the performance of the lone Cyberman was perfect. The voice, the design, everything about the lone Cyberman was perfect. I have to say, my favourite moment from the episode is probably the bit where Mary Shelley looked like she was getting through to the Cyberman, and then suddenly just turned like really evil. That was a very sort of Cyberman thing to do. I think that worked really well in the episode. I also really liked all of the guest characters. I thought they all worked really well in the story. So that's a lot of things I really liked about the story. At the beginning, I really liked the haunted house vibe it gave off. I like the cold open because cold opens are like amazing and I love cold opens. And I just loved most of the things in this story. I think everything in it worked really well. But there's two nitpicks I have with this episode, and they're both very minor. First nitpick is they tried to keep the lone Cyberman thing sort of a secret. And I think that worked if they revealed it, and because it's played like a secret, I would have been like, oh. But then the Doctor Who account think it's a good idea for them to just go like, oh yeah, there's a surprise this week, and I don't get why you would put that, because it's a lot better for surprises if we don't know they're coming, because then everyone expected the lone Cyberman to show up. Then even the BBC America account just posted things saying, remember Jack's warning, beware the lone Cyberman. So that's my first nitpick. It sort of means we can't enjoy the episode as much as we could have done before. Second tiny nitpick is the fact that when the Doctor was walking in and out of her room and she couldn't get out, it didn't really look like she was walking through one door and then just coming back into the room. It just looked like she was going out the door and then just coming back in. I mean, that's very small. So, other things I liked is that usually in Chibnall episodes there's so many guest characters and it all feels really overstuffed. This did not feel overstuffed at all. All the guest characters I loved, they all worked in the story. The companions worked in the story. Everything worked in the story. And I think overall it was just a great story. The setting was great. And another thing I really loved about this story, especially their use of the Cybermen, is because it was a broken Cyberman, they focused more on the Cyberman being more human than robot, which is something really good because the Cybermen are humans and robots. That was the problem I'd always had since the Cybermen. I'd always had the problem that they just removed the brain and put it in a robot suit, so they weren't really that cyborgs, they were just robots with a brain in. So I think this worked really well. Like in World Up in Time, it focused more on the human aspects and the pain and everything. And yeah, that was just amazing, the fact that they finally used them properly. So I think that everything in this story just worked, apart from those two minor nitpicks. But Mary Shelley, everything in this story, the Cybermen especially, and yeah, I really enjoyed the last standalone part. Oh, no, sorry, the first part of this 3-part finale. So overall, I'm going to give The Haunting of Villa Diodati a 10 out of 10. I have been Cybermanalf. This has been an incredible episode, if I do say so myself. And I'm really looking forward to Ascension of the Cybermen next week. Oh, also sorry this is up really late. Yesterday when I was supposed to do this all, I just sort of fell asleep, so very sorry about that. But for me, for now, it's goodbye.